Hi, this is Tim. Welcome to our today best practice series regarding finding the right agenda for your purpose. So what I would like to do today is I would like to give you an overview about, of course, what is an agenda, and want to introduce 5 different types of agendas that can be used for different occasions. And just to find out what would be your right agenda, I would like to give you a good overview regarding the topics. So the first agenda I want to start with is the so-called agenda with highlights. So the agenda with highlights is a very easy structured agenda. It mostly consists of just numbers for the chapters and the chapter by itself. It can also have subchapters if you would like to. So how would it look in normal view? So we would have an overview view with certain chapters, and then a highlight part whenever you reach a certain part of the presentation. It would be highlighted, okay, like a red mark whenever I reach chapter 2 as an occasion to have that. The second agenda I would like to introduce is the agenda with single chapters. So compared to the first agenda where just the single chapter is highlighted and it would just move down whenever you have a certain example, in this chapter environment you would have subslides. So these subslides would have a different design from maybe the main page or the overview slide, and it can be clearly defined. So whoever has the right of a so-called design administrator would find within the option, whenever he right clicks of an element within the templates, certain tags that can be identified. And there are about 40 different tags available for different reasons. And these elements can be used, or these tags can be used to give that certain field, shape, design element, whatever it is, a certain functionality that will be automatically adjusted. So compared to the first agenda with just highlights, if you use single slide divider, it's very useful to also enable the page numbers. So if you click on agenda, you would automatically have the option right here to enable the slide numbers, and that would help you to have like automatic, the automatic fix for your slide numbers, so you don't have to do anything twice, but this would be just the enablers of the options. The overview about your currently available agendas that you have is, by the way, available right here. So if you just click on it, you might have the same 5 different reasons. You might have 2, you might have 3, whatever is your current situation within your general settings of Empower. But there's always an option to enhance that if you want to. So just talk to your project managers who are responsible for Empower, or the design admins. They're capable of adding new chapters. We don't want to go into detail right here. So this way of using that agenda type is very used if you're using handouts, or you want to leave the presentation at your customer site to enable him a great overview regarding the topics that you have, but also where to find it, because as you know, these elements are also linked. So within the presentation mode or the PDF, you would directly jump to that certain section within that file that would be available. So this is, by the way, one of the most used elements that we have, or that we use most frequently, but of course not the only one. The next agenda type I want to talk about is the agenda type with 2 columns. So as you see, we have certain areas on the left, certain areas on the right, and depending on the number of elements that you eventually choose, you will always jump to a certain reason. So here is also the highlight available. So as you see, this is like the overview slide, and if I'm going through the presentation, I do have slide dividers which are highlighted on a certain level, just enabling me always a great overview regarding the information that I have. This kind of agenda is pretty frequently used if you would compare certain topics to one or the other. So you can name one on the left side, one on the right side. It helps you. It's very good to give a lot of information on one slide without getting too small for the font sizes, for example, as it can be used, especially if you have very few text, then it's very, very good to use. It could be reason that it's the best possible fit within your corporate design, of course, that you can have, but also to provide an alternative to the general known kind of agendas that we frequently use. So there are multiple reasons to use that, but eventually it's always up to you and your corporate design and your content or target content that you have, which agenda would you use. So the first three examples that I gave you were very easy. They may have a number for the section that they have certain content or the slide numbers in the easiest way. We can go much more into details regarding the agenda. So for example, we can also add, I would say, maybe time for duration or the speaker who is currently talking. So always the same way, you do have a certain duration, you have a speaker, and whatever field is enabled due to the text that we use during the creation, you can also add additional information. And as you see, this will be automatically displayed. This would be a typical agenda, for example, for a longer meeting, if you're having a workshop with different topics without like a or not too defined area, but just a rough estimate regarding the time and the moderator that is going to use that part. So this can be very useful. If you want to go more into details regarding an overview, you can also add a certain timetable to your agenda, but this is frequently or quite good use if you especially have subpoints or anything quite like this. So the general overview would help a lot to go into details. The last agenda I want to talk about is the agenda with timetable. This is mostly for trainings. If you're on an event and you want to give your audience a general overview about what to use. So in this case, it are always the same elements that we use with different maybe tags that has been activated or chosen to be used, but you can choose where to put it and what kind of information you want to provide. So in this case, you see I do have a certain timing, which is always unfortunately the same due to my mistake. Sorry for that. But eventually the topic might change as the time would do, and the speaker role would also change. So in this case, you can just give certain information. Here you see I made my little mistake, which is just copy and paste it, which you should never do in PowerPoint as we know, or at least try to avoid. But I can of course add this up. I can also decide that I might want to have a certain sub-slide if I would have content included already, but if we are just giving the timetable at the beginning of a training and an event, it's mostly enough that we just have the overview slide enabled eventually to have the things going. So different purposes. The most important information maybe is there's almost no limit regarding the capability of how an agenda should look. And the executive summary, if I think about it, would be you can use, of course, whatever is required to get your content. Keep in mind that there are multiple options available and that we are happy to assist you doing your general overview. We're also going to provide, if you are interested in this presentation, just to follow it up or to give you these examples available. Otherwise, whenever you have questions or anything available, please be free to contact us at any time under empower@matonoffice.com. So yeah, thank you very much. Have a good day.